From news and views, issues and opportunities, we'll have in-depth conversations with decision makers to find out what they know and what they think. I'm Rico Hizon, inviting you to join the exchange because your business is our business. Meant to be our partner in health, the government's health insurance is front and center in a Senate investigation amid this already challenging pandemic.
Pero hindi sinasagot ng diretso, paikot-ikot kami.
We'll sift through the allegations and accusations.
I have nothing to hide. I might be embarrassed, but I have nothing to hide.
As well as Philhealth's line of defense. And Moscow's claim of victory for approving the first COVID-19 vaccine is met with skepticism by some scientists around the world. Russian experts call it a Sputnik moment, in reference to the world's first satellite launched by the Soviet Union in 1957. And how one company is providing heartfelt medical services in the safety of your homes. Welcome to the exchange. The government's health insurer gets into deeper trouble. For 2 weeks in a row, senators grilled Philhealth officials on the state insurance funds running out of cash. Philhealth executives stressed they're doing everything they can to stem the losses, but lawmakers are not convinced. They suspect fraud, even corruption. President Rodrigo Duterte himself has a warning.
Itong Philhealth, sabi ko, yayariin ko kayo lahat. Maniwala kayo. Nakalusot kayo sa ibang maybe presidente. O dito sa akin, sad-sad talaga kayo.
Let's now have an exchange with the Senate Majority Floor Leader, Mig Zubiri. Senator, thank you so much for joining us on the exchange. First of all, tell us what alleged irregularities have you uncovered in Philhealth?
Well, we had covered about 5 irregular schemes or corruption schemes within Philhealth. Number 1, the misuse of the interim reimbursement mechanism, and therefore, because of that, there's a rebate system. A lot of, especially in private institutions, where you put in the money and there's no accountability. Sometimes these private institutions, allegedly, according to my inside source, gives kickbacks or rebates to, of course, the Philhealth mafia inside Philhealth. Another is, of course, the ghost patients, schemes with ghost patients and non-existing patients. These are 2 different things, Rico. The ghost patients are patients that have already died. They've already died, but they still continue to get the benefits given to them by Philhealth, whereas non-existing patients are the false claims made by many institutions, many of which are private institutions, private hospitals, private clinics, and pad up their case records. And losing, Philhealth loses by the billions a year because of this scheme. Another scheme, of course, is the, as we have already seen, the overpricing of their internet, their IT systems, by even up to a high of 12,000%. Unbelievable. It's a Guinness World Record in terms of overpricing. And so other schemes like the lack of the legal department to actually file the necessary cases, suspend the necessary hospitals and institutions. So this is what we brought out in the last hearing that we will again point out and stress even further in the next hearing.
So, Senator, the losses that you mentioned and the corruption that is taking place within Philhealth is the money of the people. And we spoke on CNN Philippines, Senator, with Philhealth President Ricardo Morales, and he agrees with you about the fraud. This is what he had to say about the allegations.
The problem of fraud in Philhealth is systemic. So it requires a systemic solution. All these investigations of fraud that is being done now is not going to solve the fraud problem because it is deep-seated and long-term. Only a systemic solution will suffice. There are hospitals out there that are charging COVID rates for non-COVID cases. Namatay sa aksidente, sinarge sa COVID. Nangyayari yan.
So, Senator, if Mr. Morales knows that there are problems within Philhealth, why hasn't he fired anybody and why hasn't he done anything about it?
You're absolutely correct, Rico. You know, the first thing I would do if I had the chance and opportunity to make the change is to remove everybody from top to middle-level management, from the executive committee, the head, all the way to the vice presidents, and maybe also suspend all the regional directors. It has to start that way. I mean, he's absolutely correct by saying it's systemic. It's something like what's happening in the other agencies like the BIR and the Bureau of Customs, who are also, have their own track record of corrupt activities. Allegedly, in the Philhealth, we have to remove that and come up with a system and also strengthen the legal department. The reason why this has been perpetuated is because nobody gets suspended. One thing that the hospitals are afraid of is suspension of their license with Philhealth or their accreditation, because they don't get all those millions of pesos a month of claims. So, the problem there is, he's correct, but nobody's doing anything inside Philhealth, because they especially in the legal department, nobody gets penalized, nobody gets caught, no charges are filed, even with erring employees. As I mentioned in my last hearing, none of the employees cases were filed, and they were given a slap in the wrist by mere misconduct, cases of misconduct.
Right.
So absolutely nothing to worry about. They continue their corruption activities because they're not afraid. They're absolutely not afraid.
So, Senator, I'd like you to watch now and listen to this story about the patient who depends on Philhealth for some of his medical needs.
40-year-old Herbert Hizon is not new to dialysis treatments. He has been a patient for 15 years now. It was initially a bad case of hypertension. It worsened to a kidney problem that now requires him to have 3 dialysis sessions a week. He walks about 20 minutes from his Marikina home to a dialysis center. He spends roughly 10,000 pesos a week, inclusive of maintenance medicines. He gets by as an online seller and solicits help wherever he can.
More on nag-aasikaso lang ako ng mga guaranteed letters. Tapos kuha ng gamot sa National Kidney. So, puntang Senate, puntang Congress, PSWD, PAGCOR, basta makakahinging tulong.
Hizon is one of thousands of Filipino patients who may be left in the dark if Philhealth goes bankrupt by next year. Out-of-pocket treatments won't do it.
Malaking talagang problema siya ng dialysis patient kasi saan naman kami kukuha ng 2.6 per treatment, which is ang inaasahan lang naman talaga ng karamihan is yung Philhealth. Malaking epekto, malaking kawalan kung sakali sa mga dialysis patient yung mangyayaring bangkarote nila na sinasabi.
Hizon may shoulder his dialysis treatments by September, so he's working double time to shore up funds while waiting for good news. Melissa Lopez, CNN Philippines.
So, Senator Zubiri, you heard the plight of Herbert. Of course, the employers and members of Philhealth also want to find out how do these irregularities that you mentioned and other senators have said impact their contributions.
That's why my heart is broken, Rico. My heart is broken. I said this many times. There's a special place in hell for these people who steal the money of the poor who really need the medicines and payments of hospital bills. It breaks my heart because with all these corruption going on from the lower level to the higher level, it's bleeding Philhealth by billions of pesos a month, bleeding it dry. It's running it to the ground. The corruption is running it to the ground. And imagine it could go bankrupt by next year. So we have to plug these leakages. We have to stop this corruption from hemorrhaging the Philippine insurance system. And you know what? I even made a suggestion, a bold suggestion. All the funds, instead of giving it to private institutions, with all due respect, let us, if there's IRMs or interim reimbursement mechanisms, let's give it to the public healthcare system. Let's give it to the public hospitals. Let's modernize PGH. Let's make PGH as good as St. Luke's, as good as Makati Medical Center. Let's modernize all the provincial and regional hospitals to be as good as St. Luke's and Makati Medical Center, these top private institutions.
So, Senator,
and it comes out free for the people.
So, Senator, what is your advice then to Herbert, employers and members of Philhealth? Should they withdraw or keep their contributions in the state insurance company?
Have faith in the system. We're going to correct it with this investigation. We're going to come up with long-term pieces of legislation to change the policy, to change the personnel, and hopefully the president will act also on filing penal penalties and cases to these erring officials. And we'll try to keep the public trusting this system. We have to keep them trusting this system because that's the only way we can do it. We have to strengthen Philhealth, not run it to the ground, plug all the leakages done by corruption, and change the personnel with professionals with untainted credibility. The other day, I mentioned Secretary Carl Chura or somebody like him who can see the numbers, who can see the discrepancy, and make sure that he can clean up the Philhealth once and for all.
Thank you so much for your insights on the exchange, Senate Majority Floor Leader Migs Zubiri.
Thank you.
And coming up on the program, business is not just about making money, but giving back to communities and keeping them safe at home. And Moscow leads the race for a coronavirus vaccine, but as it dashes across the finish line, experts worry Russia might have taken shortcuts. We'll be right back on The Exchange because your business is our business. Glad you're staying with us right here on The Exchange on CNN Philippines. I'm Rico Hizon. The big story this week, controversy at Philhealth. The Philippine Health Insurance Corporation was established in 1995 under a law signed by then-President Fidel Ramos. Its mission? Provide universal health care. But on its 25th year, the government health insurer is potentially facing a possible financial collapse by 2022. Well, the problems are costly, from questionable payouts for kidney dialysis treatments and eye surgeries to billions in alleged overpayment to hospitals. Philhealth's fund is dwindling barely 100 billion pesos as of 2018, and at stake are the healthcare needs of at least 104 million Filipinos, many of them from the poor and informal sector. Joining us now on The Exchange is the Vice President of the agency's labor union called WHITE, short for Workers for Hope, Integrity, Transparency, and Empowerment. Welcome to The Exchange, Brian Habay. So Brian, ano ngayon ang sentiment ng mga PhilHealth workers? Ano po bang mga aksyon ang kinakailangan gawin ng gobyerno ngayon natin nalaman na may mga irregularities sa PhilHealth?
Well, actually, as of the moment, may mga investigasyon ho na ginagawa. No? First, we would like to convey that kasi ang nangyayari ho is that as if we're taking sides, no? Let's take this event as of the moment as an opportunity. Opportunity for yung mga na-allege and someone alleged of the corruption to have the opportunity to be heard during the investigation. Now, for the meantime nga lang, we were calling for a caretaker. A caretaker who is knowledgeable about running a corporation or a financial institution, who is proven with integrity and no, there's no taint of corruption in the past. So,
Brian, are you saying then if PhilHealth White is pushing for a caretaker, you're asking the President and CEO, Ricardo Morales, and other officials in PhilHealth to step down and resign?
As of the moment, the President is under leave, medical leave. And the second in command, I think, submitted also his medical status. And the third ranking official, yung isang SVP ho namin, ay talagang nag-resign. So, ang request lang naman ho namin, we do not want actually that the President should resign, but as of the moment, to give way for a credible and uninterrupted investigations, dapat they have to take a sideline. And someone from, or hindi man galing sa loob or from the outside, should take care of the business in the corporation first.
So, Brian, may mga issues ngayon na pinapag-usapan sa Kongreso. Overpricing, manipulation of financial statements, and incompetence. na lumalabas ngayon sa investigation.
Yeah.
Sa tagal ninyo sa Philhealth, in the legal department, for 2 decades, meron na ba kayong narinig na mga anomalya na nangyayari dyan?
Well, I am inclined to believe now that there is happening because hindi naman magkakaroon ng lingering problem and issues regarding corruption kung talagang wala namang nangyayari sa PhilHealth. Well, anyway, we are both spectators here. Kung ano yung nakikita natin sa Senate and any investigating body, ay yun din po ang paningin ho namin. So if there is overpricing, opportunity nga ito those are implicated to prove whether or not there is corruption in PhilHealth. Kung mayroon mang responsable, they have to be held responsible for that.
Being in the legal department, you have also been filing cases against providers, no? Meron po bang nangyayari sa mga kaso na yon?
We have filed several cases now. As far as our region is concerned, we have filed several cases, but it's not actually so responsive on the part of yung pagpoproseso at pagde-deliberate ng ating legal sector. It is because marami ho tayong na-file na case at matagal ho ang resolution nito. So meron din ho tayong nakikita na talagang baguhin or talagang i-improve sa ating proseso pagdating po sa legal process ho natin sa pagde-deliberate ng cases.
All right, thank you so much for joining us on The Exchange. Philhealth White Vice President Brian Habay. Well, Russia will begin massive COVID-19 vaccinations this October despite concerns about the safety and efficacy of the vaccine. CNN's Matthew Chance has the details from Moscow.
You couldn't accuse the Kremlin of ignoring the propaganda value of its vaccine. They've even called it Sputnik after the Soviet satellites that shocked the world and launched the space race. Now it's the vaccine race the Kremlin says it's won, hands down.
A vaccine against coronavirus has been registered for the first time in the world this morning. I know that it works quite effectively. It forms a stable immunity.
But how does he know? Well, he says one of his own daughters, perhaps the one who's an acrobatic dancer, has already been vaccinated. Or his eldest, a medical specialist. All Putin says is that she had a slight temperature at first, but feels much better now. Extraordinary from a Russian president who rarely mentions his family. We still don't know for sure how many children he has. Still, it underlines how much confidence the Kremlin wants to show in its new vaccine. Despite concerns, no clinical data has been published. Soldiers were used as volunteers in early testing, and crucial third-phase human trials are not even started. Worrying shortcuts, say critics, in a Kremlin dash across the line.
The point is not to be first with a vaccine. The point is to have a vaccine that is safe and effective for the American people and the people of the world.
There's been criticism inside Russia too. A prominent pharmaceutical industry body this week calling on health officials to postpone the vaccine because it may put lives at risk. Not a warning that's been heeded. Officials say frontline health workers and teachers will be vaccinated first, then the elderly and other vulnerable groups. In fact, Russian officials say there's a vast global appetite for their vaccine. Applications for more than 1 billion doses, they say, have already been received from more than 20 countries. It may not be safe or even work, but Russia can proclaim, at least to itself, that it is once again a planet-saving scientific superpower. Matthew Chance, CNN, Moscow.
In technology news, e-commerce giant Amazon is looking to partner with the biggest shopping mall operator in America. Reports say Amazon plans to convert struggling department stores under Simon Property Group into distribution hubs. Well, the goal is to help speed up delivery services. Amazon has around 100 hubs across the country. Well, they're usually located outside major cities because of cheaper rent. We'll take a short break, and coming up on The Exchange, a company shares how it delivers medical services in the comfort of your home. Welcome back, everyone. You're watching The Exchange right here on CNN Philippines because your business is our business. COVID-19 has been wreaking havoc, not only on small businesses, but big companies as well. The latest casualty, Pilipinas Shell's refinery. Parent firm Royal Dutch Shell is among the world's largest, but it's been selling its refineries across the United States in recent months. Pilipinas Shell is closing its own refinery in Batangas for good. It says refining crude oil is no longer profitable as pump prices have become cheaper than producing the fuel as a result of the worldwide pandemic. Shell has to stop the bleeding and would rather import oil for sale in the Philippines. Despite mounting losses amid the pandemic, some businesses are stepping forward to offer aid. One such company is Generica Drugstore. Not only do they offer medicines, medical supplies, and devices, but also free medical consultations in the comfort of your homes. Let's have an exchange with Generica's president and CEO, attorney Josette Abarca. Attorney Yet, thank you so much for joining us on The Exchange.
Hi, Rico. Happy to be here.
Well, congratulations on your appointment on July 15, but it comes amid this COVID-19 pandemic. What has been the challenge in your view as we face this COVID-19 health crisis?
Well, Rico, a couple of major ones really. No? One is obviously the economic impact. This has adversely impacted the spending ability of the general public. And second would be the mobility because of the restrictions brought about by this community quarantine and the general fear of catching the virus. So those are two major challenges from our business perspective. But this has also provided opportunities for us because Generica Drugstore offers affordable generic medicines, which is affordable and cheaper than the branded counterparts. So in that way, we are a good alternative to the requirement of our kababayans for medicines.
And of course, Attorney Yet, Generica Drugstore can't just market branded and generic drugs or medical supplies and devices because you now have to basically adjust and adopt to the new normal by offering new services to your clientele.
Yes, that's right, Rico. So this pandemic has just changed our mindset in how we conduct our business. And as you've noted, we do not just provide medicines, we provide other services such as teleconsulta, where we connect our customers to doctors for libreng consultation. But now with this pandemic, we have shifted it to libreng teleconsulta, where we're using via phone and video facility for our customers to have that consultation with the doctors. And
since
we've
March,
expanded our menu of services.
That's right.
To provide home delivery of medicines at this time.
And of course, Attorney, despite the ECQ or MECQ or the GCQ, your drugstores have remained open and your employee frontliners continue to serve customers despite the continued threat of this virus.
Yes, Rico, and we're just so grateful to our franchisees and business partners that have responded positively. We have kept over 95% of our store network open. That's over 700 stores nationwide who continue to provide services to our customers at this time.
And we just mentioned you are the new president and CEO since July 15. What leadership principles do you bring to the table to be able to bring Generica drugstores to the next level?
Well, Rico, for me, leadership is really inspiring people to work towards the achievement of a common goal. And I'm just blessed that I am with Generica, and we're not just running a business here, but we are really providing a meaningful social service to our kababayans, and we provide affordable medicines to our customers. So it's not really hard to rally people behind that and keep Generica going.
And what kind of advice, Attorney Yet, can you give industry colleagues who are going through turbulent waters during this health crisis?
Well, the key really is not to forget why we are here, no? And that is to provide services to our customers. So if we just continue to focus on that, what our customers need, we make the necessary adjustments and keep everything towards achieving the requirement to meet customer needs, then everything else will just fall into place and keep your business going at this time.
Thank you so much, Attorney Yet, for your inspirational leadership. Attorney Josette Abarca, the CEO and President of Generica Drugstore.
Thank you, Rico.
Let's
Happy
take
to
a
have been
look
with you.
at these. Farmers in Cotabato in central Mindanao are making face shields. Well, what makes them unique? Well, the frame is made of bamboo, not plastic. Plus, it's now a source of livelihood for farmers hurting from this pandemic. A face shield sells for 150 pesos online via Shopee or Shopinas. I'd like to have one of those face shields. And that is The Exchange, where we make sense of the facts and the figures and the ups and downs of the business cycle. Because your business is our business. I'm Rico Hizon, and this is CNN Philippines. News you can trust.